Did you know that it typically takes 400 repetitions for the human brain to build a neural synapse? But there's a biological shortcut that changes everything. When the same learning happens through play, it only takes 10 to 20 repetitions. Think about that for a second. We're talking about a 20-fold increase in efficiency. This isn't just a fun fact, it is the reason why early childhood education is the most powerful engine for human development, the most powerful that we possess. Welcome to the premiere episode called The Architecture of the Future. And so you're listening to the Elevating ECE broadcast, and I'm Beatrice Hutcherson, your excellence architect, here to help you build strong systems for consistent quality, easy compliance, lasting growth, and legacy. With my experience of over 25 years in this field, I've seen the incredible heights children can reach when we get the foundation right and the heavy toll it takes on educators when the system fails to support them. Today, we're moving past the crisis talk to look at the science, the strategies, and the hope that is waiting for us inside the classroom. To understand why our work matters, we must look at the sensitive period between birth and age 3. A baby is born with 100 billion neurons. 100 billion neurons, nearly the same number as an adult. But the magic isn't in the amount of neurons, it's in the synapses. Those are the connections, right? The connections between the neurons. And by the age of 3, a child's brain has exploded to 1,000 trillion synapses, twice as many as you or I have right now. This isn't a use, this isn't a use it or lose it phase of synaptic pruning. The brain is literally deciding which pathways to keep based on repeated experiences. And so when we provide high quality, language rich environments, we are helping a child wire a brain that is durable and efficient. But as someone who has navigated these classrooms for over 2 decades, I know that you can't provide that environment if you are exhausted, under resourced, and burnt out. We have to be honest. Early childhood education is the number one burnt out profession in the United States. When 44% of teachers say they feel burnt out, often or always, it is not a personal failure. It is a systemic one. We have a fragmented system where the average teacher makes just $30,000 a year. And poverty rates for our educators are 8 times higher than those of children that are in the K through 8 grades. This creates what the research calls unsustainable work. When we lose a qualified teacher to a higher paying job, a better opportunity, they move on from us. We aren't just losing an employee, we are disrupting the stable relationships that children need to hit their developmental milestones, right? We need that consistency to happen in order for them to hit their developmental milestones in an appropriate manner, right? And each child, we understand, learns differently at their own pace, but they need those stable, consistent relationships to be successful in developing social emotionally and also hitting those milestones. And for the community, this is a crisis of equity as these changes disappropriately impact families and workers of color. But there is hope. And it starts with moving towards intentional, strategic solutions. In my 25 years of experience, I've found that hope is built. You can find hope, and hope is built in 2 pillars. Not only 2 pillars, but we're going to start there on professional mastery, and the other is financial strategy, right? So we have to be calculated and very intentional about the work that we do. First, we have to shift to that a stereotypical type of play to something that we can talk about as being mature, referred to as mature play. Immature play is not non-imaginative and short-lived, but mature play involves those complex construction where you can elaborate on the dramatization, have and promote higher order thinking. And so those are the things that we consider that mature type of play, right? When the educators are able to engage the children well to push them to that higher order of thinking. And by implementing strategic strategies for intentional guided play, we can help children develop the self regulation and executive functions that lead to lifelong success. And that's our goal. We are here to develop, right? To plant as well as developed and water the foundation. And so, but it creates or a good environment for everything else to grow and for everything else to flourish. And so we want to set them up, right, for all of those wonderful things that they'll develop while they're with us, but it does set them up for that lifelong success. Second, we have to secure resources, right? So that's the big elephant in the room, right? It's always about resources. What resources are available to us? And so I want you to understand that we're in a good time right now. There is a once in a generation opportunity for funding right now. There are lots of opportunities out there. So whether or not we're looking at different grant opportunities from the ARPA stabilization funds to the Teach scholarships to the wages, salary, supplements, depending on where you are in the world, right? It's different, but the money is out there. So the challenge is the fragmented nature of the grants. So strategic grant writing and a shift towards a cost of care model funding based on true cost of quality, not just attendance, can stabilize a program and end the burnout cycle, right? So we need the resources so that we can provide the services that we need to. And so it's not about whether or not the money is out there, because it is, but it's about aligning ourselves appropriately so that it becomes available to us and we're able to take hold of it. High quality early childhood education is a sound investment. So you get a return of $4 to $16, anywhere between there. That return goes to the economy for every $1 that's spent towards early childhood education. So that is a tremendous return on investment. So it certainly is a sound investment, but you can't get the return without having the blueprint, right? So we need the systems, we need the strategy to be able to lay hold of it. And so after 25 years in this industry, I've helped to be a part of building and constructing and putting systems in place and building programs from the ground up. And so, as a result of all of my experience, I've launched this service. And it's not really just a service, but it's a movement. It's not just a broadcast, right? It's not just a podcast, but it's also a movement, because I believe that every program has the potential to flourish. We don't just provide workshops and consultation, although those are some of the things we do, but we build systems for compensation, help to find benefits, mental health supports that make this work manageable and joyful again. We don't have to be overwhelmed. We don't have to be in a space where we're putting out fires every single day. We have to be able to leverage the resources and the tools that are out there to really help us do the work and do it well and not be burnt out from it, to find the joy in it again, because we know anyone that is in this field is not here necessarily for the money, right? But we are here because we have a heart for teaching young children, for shaping those little minds, shaping those little lives. And so we can have that joy again, right? We can return to why we originally got into this work. We help to provide supports around grant writing and expertise and funding and all of that. And so we'll talk about a lot of that here on this channel. We're giving tips and tools and things that can help you in the work that you do. We do have specialized coaching to mature your staff skill set, to also build your leadership capacity. Every plan is customized to meet your individualized and specific goals. And so, not to mention systems of audits and building done for you resources, community, and utilizing AI to leverage your time and efficiency. And so, I just gave you a blurb about all the things that we do in our service, but also those are things that we're going to be talking about here. And so we also are coming up with some wonderful opportunities that will be available to you. But here on this channel, we'll talk about a lot of those things and make a lot of those things available to you, because we are really about helping to promote and to provide excellence in early childhood education everywhere, right? So it's not just about, I am in New York City, right? And we are going through a huge transition in our programming and our funding and all of that. But wherever you are in the world, right, we're going through a transition time right now. So they're really trying to figure out what the state of early childhood will be, how they will move forward, how they will continue to implement the program, what it's going to look like. And so while they're trying to figure all of that out, right, we can do our part to make sure that we have the systems in place that allow us to do this work well, right? And so, and then it will allow us to be able to not just rely on what's happening outside of us, right? But it'll give us some resources and build our skill set so we'll know within where to go to get what we need, and so that we can sustain our programs. And so if you're struggling with operations, look at leadership. If you're struggling, if your staff is struggling with behavior, look at the play, right? How they implement play in the classroom, and also the classroom management. If you're struggling with turnover, look at the funding model, right? Can we pay enough? The culture, right? What's happening in my program? And then also the development and opportunity. What possibilities or opportunities do we present to them for career growth and development, right? So we can look at those things, but you don't have to navigate this sensitive period alone. This resource is here to discuss the topics that directly affect our industry, right? So we'll talk about things that affect us on a day-to-day basis. Despite of where we are, there are lots of things that we have that are just universal, right? We struggle with pay parity, right? And we struggle with finding candidates that stay with us, right? Retention. We struggle with a lot of the same things, finding adequate coverage and buildings and all of those sorts of things, not to mention enrollment and attendance and classroom management, managing challenging behaviors, students with disabilities within our programs, how to best support them, how to best support teachers to support them, right? And so there's so many facets and aspects to the work that we do, and we're going to talk about it all here. And so I do encourage you to put down in the chat if there's something specific that you would like us to talk about. But each month we'll have a theme that we'll focus on, and we'll talk about it. And we are going to talk about the realness of it. I am still in the early childhood world, so every day I live it. And so I understand, my feet are on the ground, so I understand what we deal with in our programs, especially in the inner city programs, right? But also in our programs that are privately funded and all of those as well. And so we're going to talk about the things that really impact us. And the goal is to give you the tools and the information that you need to strive in your program, despite of what's going on around you. I talked about all the changes that are happening, but we want you to be secure in your program, that you can build your program to excellence. And so not that you provide excellent services only. We want you to be able to develop it into legacy, something that will be long lasting. And so something we're experiencing in New York right now is that we've had programs that have been in existence for 30, 40, 50 years, right? And so now they're challenged on whether or not they can continue to operate into the new fiscal year, right? Because of changes in funding and just not knowing the direction of everything. And so that's a horrible place to be in. That's a horrible place when you run the risk of not being able to continue to serve the community that you served for decades. And so those are things that we are going to be talking about and offering some tools how to make our work easier, so that we can work more efficiently, but not necessarily harder, right? There are lots of tools, AI. We're in this wonderful AI era now, I can call it, that is really providing so many different supports that could help us to really leverage our time. It no longer takes hours and hours to do things, right? So we can focus more on the vision and moving us towards the visions that we have for our programs. And so we're going to be talking about those things. We want you to get to a place where you're self-sufficient as a program owner. And it's not just for those that have existing programs, it's for those that are looking to open up your program, right? Or to scale your program. We're going to be talking about things here that could really, really help you, give you the information that you need. And of course, our services if you need additional support beyond that. And so what I do have is a 7 pillars of whole leadership in early childhood education. You may not know me from here, but I do. If you do know me, you know that I'm all about wholeness, right? Not just looking at the work that we do, but looking at the full aspect of the person, right? That helps to prevent the burnout. And so you can't lead efficiently if you're not whole as a leader, right? If you don't have the support and the resources that you need. So there is a free gift, and you can go to our website at www.elevatingece.com, and you can download a copy of that free gift for you. Also, you can check the link in the description that will also be there. Or if you're catching us on one of the podcast stations, it will also be there in the description so that you can download this free tool. But do come back. We are going to be here together every Friday at 8 p.m. And we're going to be talking about topics that relate directly to the work that you do or are interested are embarking upon. So do join us. And so if you feel that additional support is needed, of course, we are here and we are available. If you're not sure how our services could support you, you do have the option to book a free 30-minute strategy session with me to explore your specific situation and see how our services can help. But let's stop getting or just stop, just surviving. Let's stop just getting by. Let's start building a foundation that lasts. Let me leave you with this analogy. Building a child's brain without a supported, well-funded early childhood education system is like trying to grow a prize-winning garden during a drought. You can have the best seeds, which in this case we'll think of as the neurons, and the best intentions. But without the irrigation system, which we'll think of as our funding and resources, and the master gardener's knowledge, which is you, the leadership, as well as the staff support and training, the soil remains too dry for anything to take root and to grow. The goal of this channel and our services is to provide you with the infrastructure that you need so that your garden can finally bloom, and not just bloom, but year after year continue to bloom and to grow. We're here to talk about legacy. The synapses are firing right now. We talked earlier about synapses. They are firing right now in your brain and in the children and the families that we work with right now. And so let's make sure they have something incredible to wire to. So all those wonderful visions that you had or that you had starting out or that you have right now, sometimes they may get a little dim in the mundane day-to-day and the grind of it all. But we're here to rekindle that because we're going to come and provide some resources that will really help you in the work that you do. We have some other things that'll be coming a little bit later. We have some other resources that will be dropping, as well as a community that you can participate in and some resources that will also be available to you. So we're going to do this together. You're not here alone. I'm here to help you through your journey, and we will return excellence to early childhood education and self-sufficiency and legacy. I'm your host, Beatrice Hutcherson, the Excellence Architect, and I'll see you next time. Go and be great.